I want you to listen to me, really listen, because what I'm about to say might challenge everything you think you know about your struggles, your failures, and your mindset. There are two types of people in this world. There are those who go through life worn out, complaining, barely making it through one day at a time. And then there are those who rise when others crumble. They smile through storms. They don't just survive, they conquer. So what separates them? It's not intelligence, it's not luck. It's not even education. It's something I call a positive mental attitude. And don't get it twisted, this isn't some feel-good fluff. This isn't just thinking happy thoughts or slapping on a fake smile while your world falls apart. No, this runs deeper. A positive mental attitude is a spiritual force. It's the clarity that cuts through chaos. It's the internal engine that keeps pushing when everything outside says stop. It's the one force that defeats failure, and it's the bedrock of all real, lasting success. I spent over 25 years studying the most powerful, most accomplished men of modern history: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller. These weren't men who had it easy. Life tested them again and again. But they built empires not in spite of hardship, but because they forged this unshakable mindset. They didn't run from failure, they welcomed it. They didn't crumble under pressure, they trained through it. They didn't retreat from adversity, they stood taller. And you can too, but first, I want you to get real with yourself. What's running your mind today? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it bitterness? Resentment? Self-pity? Or is it faith? Is it purpose? Is it gratitude? Is it hunger? Because your mind is never neutral, it's always being influenced. If you don't take the wheel, the world will. If you don't command it, something else, your fear, your past, your critics will. That was the biggest revelation of my life. My greatest enemy wasn't out there, it was in here. Me. Listen closely, this is truth. Your mental attitude is the one thing in this world that you have total, uncontested, undeniable control over. You can take control of it today, right now, if you choose to. That truth will either liberate you, or it'll offend your excuses. Because here's the law: what you believe, you become. What you focus on, you attract. What you dwell on becomes your reality. And I know some of you are saying, but I've tried. I've stayed positive, I've done the affirmations, and life just keeps beating me down. Let me ask you this: what is your definite purpose? Because no one can build a strong mental attitude without a burning goal. A goal that consumes you, a purpose so powerful that even failure trembles in its presence. Show me a man without purpose, and I'll show you a man who drifts. And let me tell you something about drifters: they're easy prey. They belong to the world, they're controlled by it. But show me a man who knows exactly what he wants, who wakes up every day with fire in his gut and a vision that moves him, and I'll show you someone you can't break. If you want that kind of unshakable mental attitude, here's the formula. Decide what you want, believe without flinching that it's already yours. Then act every single day in alignment with that belief. No excuses, no waiting around for motivation to strike. No blaming the world for not giving you a sign. Let me give it to you straight, because most won't. The world doesn't owe you motivation. The universe doesn't owe you comfort, but it will reward clarity. It will reward persistence backed by faith. When a man makes the decision that he will not quit, when he says, I will not be owned by negative thoughts, my mind is mine, not my enemies, that's when life starts moving in his favor. That's when people show up, opportunities appear, and strength, real strength, rushes in. But that only happens when you embrace this next truth. Negative thoughts aren't guests, they're invaders. And if you let them stay, they'll destroy your house from the inside out. They'll eat away your purpose, your joy, your strength, until all that's left is a shell of who you were meant to be. So what do? You clean house. I call it cosmic housekeeping. You start paying attention to your thoughts. You monitor that little voice inside. And when you catch it whispering fear, or doubt, or worrying, you shut it down fast. like a trespasser in your home, and you replace it with truth, with gratitude, with the power statement that says, I wasn't made to be broken, I wasn't born to be weak. I'm made of the same stuff that created galaxies. I am forged in fire, I am driven by destiny. Now, let's crush one of the biggest lies I hear all the time. But I'm just not a positive person. Rubbish, you weren't born negative or positive. You were conditioned, the people you were around, the environments you were raised in, the messages you received, they programmed your mind. But here's the good news, anything that was learned can be unlearned. Anything that was programmed can be rewritten. And here's the key, repetition, you become what you do over and over. You believe what you tell yourself consistently. Your attitude eventually mirrors the dominant thoughts you feed it. Control your input, feed your mind every single day with truth, power, and faith. Speak life even when you're hurting. Read the words of legends until they catch fire in your gut. There's no shortcut, no cheat code. But there is a path, and it begins with one decision. You decide that no matter what this life throws at you, your attitude is yours. Not your enemies, not your critics, not your pasts, yours. And that, my friend, is the first step toward power. So if you want to build a positive mental attitude that can't be broken, start here. If you really want to build a mind that can't be broken, then you need to understand this next principle, the power of auto-suggestion. Now, that might sound like a fancy word, but the idea is simple and profound. Auto-suggestion is how you talk to yourself again and again until your subconscious accepts it as truth. It's how your mind becomes either a battlefield of fear or a breeding ground for greatness. Whatever you repeat to yourself, whether it's a lie or the truth, your subconscious doesn't question it. It just absorbs, it believes, and then it acts on it. Your success isn't shaped by the world, it's shaped by your inner dialogue. The most important conversation you'll ever have is with yourself. Let me put it this way, your internal voice is either building your empire or quietly killing your dreams. The man who wakes up and says, I'm going to win, I will persist. I won't be denied, that man is programming victory. That man is giving his subconscious clear, powerful instructions. And those instructions will manifest like a builder following blueprints. But the man who rolls over, hits snooze, and mutters, nothing works. I'm tired, I can't do this. He's already lost. His day is over before it begins. Because here's the law, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. But belief doesn't show up once and stick around. You've got to forge it daily, with fire, with repetition. You've got to train your mind like a muscle. So here's a simple but powerful practice. Do this every morning. Take 5 minutes, stand tall, look yourself in the eye, and speak life into your purpose, not passively, not half-heartedly. Say it like your future depends on it, because it does. Say, I am powerful beyond measure. My purpose burns brighter than my fear. I attract the exact people, opportunities, and resources I need because I'd expect nothing less. Now, you might not believe it right away. That's okay. The subconscious isn't changed by feelings. It's changed by repetition plus emotion. Say it anyway. Say it until it burns. Until the voice of doubt gets drowned out by the voice of certainty. Do it daily. Do it ruthlessly. Do it until it becomes who you are. But let's go deeper, because there's another layer to this. You cannot develop a strong mental attitude without self-discipline. Let me say that again, because it's not optional. You can't control your emotions if you can't control your habits. You can't stay mentally elevated if your daily life is controlled by destructive routines. Discipline is the bridge between thoughts and reality. Without it, your good intentions are just dreams. Your destiny gets delayed, and your power, it stays potential. The men I studied, Carnegie, Edison, Napoleon Hill, Schwab, they didn't rise just because they had big ideas. They rose because they governed themselves. They mastered their impulses. They protected their time. They treated their attention like treasure. So let me ask you, what are you tolerating that's weakening your mind? What habits are pulling you backward? What comforts are robbing your future? What distractions have you welcomed that keep you small? Because let me be honest, a powerful mindset is not born in ease. It's forged in the fire of discipline under pressure. It's forged when you say, I will read instead of scroll. I will rise instead of sleep in. I will speak strength instead of complaint. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, your inner power grows. Every time you chase comfort, a part of your future dies. Let me share with you one of the most powerful discoveries I ever made after years of studying success and failure. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. If you truly believe that, you become unstoppable. You might bleed, you might fall, you might suffer. But you'll never stay broken because you'll know deep down, this isn't punishment. This is preparation. Look at your own life. Be honest. The deepest lessons didn't come during peace. They came during chaos. The strongest clarity didn't show up when things were easy. It showed up in the middle of the storm when you had to choose, sink or rise. So here's your new mental programming. This pain is preparing me. This delay is protecting me. This failure is redirecting me. And what happens? You stop reacting like a victim. You start responding like a warrior. You stop fearing the hit and start using it. You become unshakable. You become dangerous to defeat. Because now, life can't knock you out, it can only make you sharper. And that brings me to one of the most powerful principles of my entire philosophy. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are only ever a victim of your response. Two men can go through the same storm. One grows bitter, the other grows stronger. One collapses, the other levels up. The difference, mental attitude. When life slaps you across the face, you choose. Will I curse it or will I bless it as my teacher? When someone betrays you, you choose. Will I let it harden me or will I let it sharpen me? You can't control what happens, but you can always control what it becomes. That's the secret of a positive mental attitude. It doesn't erase pain, it redefines it. It doesn't remove storms, it teaches you how to walk through them with purpose. But I need to warn you because once you start walking this path, not everyone will understand. There will be people who hate your mindset. They'll mock your optimism. They'll call you unrealistic, delusional, naive. Ignore them. Most people are addicted to mediocrity. They're comfortable in chaos. They've made peace with misery and they hate anyone who rises above it because it reminds them of the life they could be living. Don't let their fear become yours. You must guard your mind like a warrior. Cut off the infection at the source. Be ruthless about who you allow into your mental space. Surround yourself only with those who speak power, not pity. With people who elevate your energy, not drain it. Tell me who your enemies are, and I'll tell you what you're resisting. Tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you the limits of your future. Environment is more powerful than will. If you live in darkness, don't be surprised when your mind can't shine. Choose your influences wisely, because whatever enters your ears enters your spirit. Let me leave you with this truth, one that most people never hear in their entire lives. You don't need permission to become powerful. You don't need a degree. You don't need a title. You don't need someone else to approve your dream. You need one thing: a decision to take ownership of your thoughts. A decision to stop being a passenger in your own mind. A decision to become the kind of person that nothing can break. Because when your attitude is no longer for rent to circumstances, when you decide that it belongs to you and you alone, everything begins to change. That right there is the turning point. And now that you've made it this far, I know something about you. You're not like most people. You're not content with just getting by. You're not satisfied with survival. You want mastery. You want to lead. You want to live a life that demands respect and that begins in the mind. So let's talk about the final, essential layer of building an unshakable positive mental attitude. It's called a definite chief aim. Without it, the mind wanders. Without it, purpose fades. Without it, you're a leaf in the wind pushed around by fear. distraction, and self-doubt. Your definite chief aim is more than a goal, it's a reason for living. It's the gravitational force that pulls you through pain, through failure, through fatigue. It's your soul on fire, it's identity in motion. Every great man I've ever studied, every single one had this. They didn't kind of want success. They didn't hope it would work out. They lived their purpose, they embodied it. Their aim wasn't something they chased, it was who they were. So I ask you, what do you want so badly that you're willing to suffer for it? What would you fight for, even if it meant being misunderstood, mocked, doubted, or alone? What kind of life would make all the pain worth it? That's your definite chief aim, and once you find it, you etch it into your subconscious. Say it aloud morning and night. Feel it like it's already done. Write it down with so much clarity and emotion that it becomes your compass. Because vague goals create vague results. But clarity commands the universe. Once your purpose is clear, once your mind is anchored to that one great reason, your positive mental attitude becomes more than a shield, it becomes your sword. Now lean in, because this next truth will shape your destiny. The man with purpose and the right attitude becomes unstoppable. He may get delayed, he may fall, he may feel pain, but he never stays down, he never gives up. Because he knows that his power doesn't come from comfort, it comes from within. You see, your attitude is the hinge that swings open the doors of your destiny. It decides whether a failure becomes fuel or your finish line. It decides whether a loss becomes a lesson or a life sentence. It decides whether your pain becomes your prison or your platform. But here's the challenge. You've got to protect that attitude like a warrior guards his weapon. Defend it fiercely, shield it from every negative influence, external and internal. That means cutting off toxic people, turning down poisonous media, and confronting your own inner critic, your own self-pity, your own mental laziness. That means recognizing the traps. Gossip, complaining, victim thinking. Excuses disguised as logic, these are enemies of greatness. They sneak in, they drain your energy, they steal your edge. Don't let anyone or anything define your life's meaning for you. That power is yours alone. Let me speak to your heart for a moment, not just your mind. You were not created by accident. You weren't put here to blend in. You were born with purpose, a mission, a contribution that only you can make. Your existence proves that destiny is real, but destiny isn't guaranteed, it's unlocked. And it only becomes real when your mind is ready. So how do you prepare it? Feed it greatness. Read biographies of giants, speak affirmations that lift you. Take bold, uncomfortable action, surround yourself with winners, warriors, and wise ones. And above all, think thoughts that expand, empower, and direct your soul. Every time you do, you grow. Every time you let fear run the show, you shrink. And that's the choice every single day. Grow or shrink. No one else can make it for you. So here's a rule I live by, a rule that's never failed me. Act as if it were impossible to fail. Not because failure doesn't exist, but because fear of failure is more dangerous than failure itself. Fear paralyzes people. It keeps them small. It kills more dreams than defeat ever could. But ask yourself, what if you removed failure from the equation? What if you lived by this new mental code? I cannot fail, I can only learn. I cannot lose, I can only grow. I cannot break. I can only bend and bounce back stronger. Now that's power. That's what gives birth to an unbreakable mind. That's what makes you move without hesitation. That's what makes you magnetic, because confidence is rare. Certainty is electric, and those who carry both, they become leaders by energy, not just by title. Now hear me, no one ever succeeded alone. But no one who waited for approval ever succeeded either. You've got to believe in yourself before anyone else does. You've got to walk forward while they laugh. Stand tall while they sit back. Speak boldly while they scoff. Because the world doesn't follow titles, it follows spirit. It follows the person who dares to be mentally invincible even before the results show up. So let's recap what you now possess if you choose to live it. A mind that turns every obstacle into opportunity. A voice that speaks power even in silence. A purpose so fierce that fear can't live beside it. A level of discipline that starves weakness. And an attitude so solid, so indestructible that the gates of hell couldn't stop you. This isn't hype. This isn't fantasy. This is law. It worked for Carnegie. It worked for Edison. It worked for Ford. And it will work for you if you work it. The question isn't, will it work? The question is, will you? So now we've arrived at the moment of truth. Will you rise and claim your mindset daily? Will you speak with strength even when your situation feels weak? Will you persist even when everything inside of you says, it's time to quit? Because if you do, then what you're building is more than success. You're building a life for real life. A life that has depth, a life that matters. A life that leaves a mark long after your name is spoken. That's what an unbreakable positive mental attitude gives you. Not just the power to win, but the power to live well. Now let me go even deeper with you. Understand this, attitude is not a mood. It's not based on how you feel. It's not something that depends on what kind of day you're having. It's a decision, it's a commitment. It's a code you live by, no matter what's happening around you. You've got to see it as armor, as your edge. As your secret weapon in a world that's constantly trying to wear you down. Because the moment you drop your guard, when you let your attitude be shaped by negativity, weakness, or chaos, your power leaks. That's why you've got to treat your attitude like gold. Protect it, fuel it, defend it like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Your attitude decides whether you bounce back or break. Whether you learn or lose, whether you conquer or collapse. So guard it from all threats, especially the sneaky ones. Negative people, toxic media, even your own inner voice, when it's stuck in fear or comparison. You've got to learn how to catch at those low-level thoughts and crush them before they take root. Because every time you say, I'm not good enough, or this won't work, or it's too late, you're giving away your power. You're surrendering the very thing that separates winners from watchers, belief. Belief is the fuel of a positive mind. And the beautiful thing, you can generate it daily. You can train it like a muscle. The way you think today becomes the life you live tomorrow. So feed your mind with fire. Read truth, speak truth, act on truth. And when life tests you, and it will, you respond with power. You say, this isn't here to break me. This is here to build me. This obstacle isn't the end, it's my opening. This storm isn't punishment, it's preparation. And that shift, that mindset, is what gives birth to greatness. Let me repeat one of the core principles of this philosophy. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control what you do with it. The interpretation is yours. The meaning is yours, the response is yours. And that's where the magic lives. Most people hand over their power. They blame, complain, shrink. They let situations define them. But you're different. You don't react to respond. You don't get stuck, you evolve. You don't get bitter, you get better. Because the man with a positive mental attitude doesn't just see life differently, he lives differently. He doesn't need everything to go right. He just needs his mind to be right. That's why the world can throw him into chaos and he'll still create order. It can throw him into pain and he'll still produce purpose. It can throw him into loss and he'll still find a way to win. Let's talk now about something most people never prepare for: resistance. Not everyone's going to support your growth. In fact, the more you rise, the more resistance you'll meet. People will doubt you. They'll try to drag you back into the comfort zone they never left. They'll question your drive, your optimism, your vision. Not because it's wrong, but because it threatens the excuses they live by. Do not let them infect your mind. Their disbelief is not your burden. Their fear is not your future. Your job is to protect your mindset, not just from negativity, but from smallness. Don't let someone's limited thinking limit your life. And be warned, it won't always come from enemies. Sometimes it'll come from people close to you. People who mean well, people who love you, but people who can't see what you see. Your vision was given to you, not them. So stop asking for directions from those who've never been where you're going. Build quietly if you must, rise silently, but protect your purpose and your attitude like your soul depends on it. Because it does. Let's go even further. There's one more enemy that most people never talk about: mental laziness. It's the killer of momentum, the thief of clarity, the silent assassin of big dreams. Mental laziness shows up in all kinds of ways: scrolling when you should be building, complaining when you should be planning, wishing instead of working, waiting for the perfect time instead of starting now. You've got to be ruthless with it. Catch it, call it out. Replace it with movement, focus, energy. Every day, you've got two voices inside. One that wants comfort, one that wants greatness. Which one wins? The one you feed. So feed the right voice, starve the other. And when you fall in, yes, you will get back up fast. Because the positive mental attitude doesn't promise perfection. It promises power, power to rise, power to overcome, power to keep moving, no matter what. Let me give you one more truth to tattoo on your mind. You don't have to feel strong to be strong. You don't have to feel confident to act with confidence. You don't have to wait for certainty to start moving. You move first and strength catches up. That's how leaders are made. That's how legacies are built. That's how you become someone the world can't ignore. And it all begins here in the mind. So I challenge you today, don't just hear these words, live them. Don't just understand these truths, apply them. Don't just want a better life, build it. Because everything you need is already within you. You're not lacking power, you're not lacking potential. You're not waiting on a sign. You're waiting on a decision, so make it. Make the decision today, right now, that from this moment forward, I no longer rend my attitude to circumstances. I own it, I lead it, I protect it. Because once you do that, you're already halfway to greatness. The world may not change overnight, but you will. And when you change, the way the world responds to you will shift. The universe bends to the will of those who refuse to break. Now let's bring this home. You've made it this far. That tells me something profound about you. It tells me you're not the kind of person who wants to coast through life. You want to master it, you want to impact. You want to matter, and that level of life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention, by training your mind to serve your purpose, not your fears. So let's revisit the foundation. The final layer to an unshakable positive mental attitude is this. You must have a purpose that consumes you. Not a wish, not a casual goal, a burning reason. A vision so vivid, so magnetic, that nothing can pull you away from it. Not doubt, not fear, not even failure. Because your mind without purpose is a leaf in the wind. It drifts, it wanders. It's easily distracted, easily discouraged. But with purpose, it sharpens, it focuses. It becomes dangerous in the best way. Your definite chief aim isn't just something you write in a journal once and forget about. It's the pulse that beats through your every decision. It's the fire that wakes you up early and keeps you up late. It's the reason why you push through when others tap out. Ask yourself again, what do I want so badly that I'd fight for it, even if I was the only one who believed? What kind of life would make every scar, every tear, every lonely night worth it? What do I crave so deeply that I'd be willing to be laughed at, doubted, and misunderstood just to touch it? Once you find that, don't just think about it. Don't just hope for it. Burn it into your subconscious. Read it aloud every morning and night. Write it in stone. Speak it with emotion as if it's already done. Because clarity commands momentum, and momentum creates results. When your purpose becomes fixed in your mind, clear, loud, unshakable, your attitude follows. It becomes less about trying to stay positive and more about living aligned with something greater. And from there, everything changes. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You stop wasting time on things that don't move the needle. You stop giving energy to anything that doesn't serve your destiny. You begin to live with what I call intellectual violence, a relentless, disciplined focus on your future. Not out of desperation, but out of vision. And when that happens, your positive mental attitude becomes your identity. Now let's tie this all together. If you walk away with nothing else, walk away with this. The man who has purpose and guards his mindset cannot be stopped. Delayed, sure. Knocked down, absolutely. But stopped, never, because he doesn't measure progress by comfort. He measures it by alignment with his aim, with his power, with his truth. He understands something most people never will. Attitude is the hinge on which your destiny swings. Let that sink in. It determines whether a failure becomes a stepping stone, or a stopping point, whether pain becomes your prison, or your platform, whether life builds you or breaks you. But here's the key: your mindset must be protected, and protected aggressively. You don't leave it up to chance. You don't let it be shaped by whatever new you consume, or whatever gossip you hear, or whoever has something negative to say. You defend your attitude like a soldier defends a nation. From what? From toxic people, from fear-filled media, from that inner voice that whispers weakness when you need strength, from every thought, word, or influence that makes you shrink. Because here's the truth most people avoid. You're either building yourself or betraying yourself. There's no middle ground. You either speak words that empower or words that drain. You either take action nor make excuses. You either move forward or fall back. So start asking yourself powerful questions. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this habit pushing me forward or holding me back? Is this person lifting my vision or lowering my standard? Because mental clarity requires ruthless honesty. No more blaming, no more waiting, no more hoping someone else gives you what only you can give yourself. Here's what you need to remember every day. You don't need to feel ready. You need to decide. You don't need motivation. You need alignment. You don't need the perfect plan. You need movement, and that starts with mastering your mind. So from now on, when fear shows up, you don't run, you rise. When the old voice of doubt creeps in, you speak over it louder. When circumstances get hard, you double down on your faith, not your fear. You tell yourself, I was made for this. I was built for storms. I rise when others fall. I persist when others pause. I win because my mind refuses to accept anything less. That's what it means to have a positive mental attitude. It doesn't mean everything's easy. It means you're ready no matter what comes. It means that when the world gets loud, your vision stays louder. When people doubt you, your belief grows stronger. When failure tries to define you, you redefine the game. And when it's all said and done, people won't just remember what you did. They'll remember who you became. They'll remember your energy, your resilience, your mindset. Because that is what shapes legacy, and legacy starts in the mind. Now hear me on this. You don't need to wait to become this person. You don't need to be more successful, more prepared, or more confident to start living with an unbreakable attitude. You start now, right where you are, with what you have. Because the world doesn't give you permission to rise, you give yourself permission. And when you make that decision, everything begins to shift. You start thinking differently. You start walking differently. You start commanding life instead of reacting to it. So let me say it again. This is not hype. This is not fantasy. This is law. The principles you've heard, these aren't motivational fluff. They're timeless truths. They worked for Carnegie. They worked for Edison. They worked for Hill. And they will work for you if you work them. So don't ask, will they work? Ask, will I? Will you rise every day and claim your mental attitude like it's the most valuable asset you own? Will you speak strength even when everything around you is screaming weakness? Will you move with purpose even when your emotions try to pull you backward? That's what separates those who watch history from those who make it. And if you live this, truly live it, you won't just build success. You'll build a life worth remembering. A life of substance, a life of greatness. A life that echoes through generations not because you were lucky, but because you were mentally indestructible. Now let's break it down even more practically. What does this look like daily? It looks like waking up and choosing your mindset before the world chooses it for you. It means starting your day not with passivity but with power. Even 5 minutes in the morning, just 5, can change everything. Use that time to speak affirmations with fire. Visualize your definite purpose. Declare what kind of person you are, not just what you want to be. Say it like you mean it. I am unshakable. I am the architect of my attitude. I bend reality to my purpose. I lead with strength and finish with victory. Then, throughout your day, protect that energy. Don't let someone's bad attitude become yours. Don't let fear be louder than your focus. Don't let distraction steal what you've been building in silence. And when negativity tries to sneak in, catch it. Call it out, replace it. This is a war for your mindset. And warriors don't fight casually. They fight with strategy, with urgency, with honor. Let's talk about decision again because it's everything. The moment you decide that your mind belongs to you, that you are no longer controlled by circumstances, people, pain, or even your past, that's when you tap into power most people never access, and that power multiplies. Confidence is magnetic. Certainty is rare. People are drawn to those who walk through life with unshakable energy. Not arrogance, not ego, conviction. Conviction that says, I don't need you to believe in me, I believe in me. I don't need the perfect conditions. I create them. I don't need to feel ready. I am ready because I've decided to be. That's leadership, not a title, not a position, not popularity. Leadership by mindset, and that's who you are becoming. Now let me get real with you for a second. There will be days when this is hard. There will be moments when your old patterns come knocking. Days when doubt whispers a little louder than belief. Moments when your progress feels invisible. That's not failure, that's friction. And friction is part of every transformation. But hear me, you do not quit on yourself in the middle of your becoming. You do not let a rough day convince you to go back to being someone you already outgrew. You do not let the presence of pain make you forget the presence of purpose. You keep moving, you keep speaking, you keep becoming. Because the future you are building is worth every battle you face to get there. Let me share something personal. All the greats, the real greats, every single one I studied, interviewed, or learned from, they all felt fear. They all had doubts. They all had failures. They all had critics. But what they didn't have was surrender. They didn't quit on their mind. They didn't quit on their purpose. They didn't give their attitude to anyone else to manage. They owned it, they led it, and because of that, they led others. So now I ask you directly, will you make the decision to lead your mind? Will you be the one who rises, not just for yourself, but for the people counting on you to become who you were born to be? Because there's someone out there who needs your example. Someone who's watching, someone who's waiting. Someone who's one decision away from changing everything because you showed them how. That's legacy, that's impact, that's leadership. And it starts with this, you mastering your mindset. Let's close this chapter with one more truth. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every decision you make, it's all building something. You're either constructing a future of power or a prison of limitation. You're either feeding faith or feeding fear. You're either training your mind to rise or letting it drift. So train it, speak to it, fuel it. And watch what happens when your attitude becomes the most powerful force in your life. Because a positive mental attitude isn't just a concept. It's not just a tool. It's not a motivational phrase. It's a way of life. So here we are. You've made it to the final step. And if you're still here, still listening, still hungry, then I already know something powerful about you. You were never meant for an average life. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to settle. You're not here to survive. You are here to master your life, and it all begins with mastering your mind. So let me give you one last rule, one final commandment to live by. Act as if it were impossible to fail. Don't brush that off. Don't skim past it. Really let it sink in. What if failure wasn't on the table? What if the only outcomes available were learning, growing, adjusting, and winning? Because let me tell you something, fear has killed more dreams than failure ever could. Fear of being laughed at, fear of starting too late, fear of not being enough, fear of falling flat on your face. But fear is a liar. It magnifies what could go wrong while completely ignoring what could go right. So here's your new mental code. I cannot fail, I can only evolve. I cannot lose, I can only learn, I cannot break. I may bend, but I always come back stronger. That mindset, that belief system, that's where true power lives. That's the seed of an unbreakable mind. Because once you remove the fear of failure, hesitation dies. Once hesitation dies, momentum begins. And once you start moving with that kind of force, life moves with you. You create, you speak, you lead, you build, you overcome. And something strange starts happening. People take notice not because you're showing off, but because confidence is magnetic, certainty is rare. Conviction stands out in a world addicted to confusion. People will follow you not because of what you say, but because of what you radiate. And that's the kind of leader you're becoming. Now let me say something you need to hear. No one ever succeeded alone. But no one who waited for others to believe in them ever succeeded either. The belief must begin with you. You must believe when they laugh. You must speak when they stay silent. You must move when they stand still. You've got to be bold enough to declare your future even when you're still in the middle of becoming it. That's what makes leaders. Not a title, not a platform, not popularity. A refusal to be mentally broken. So let me recap what you now carry if you're bold enough to live it. A mind that sees possibility in every obstacle. A voice that speaks life even in darkness. A purpose that burns hotter than fear. A level of discipline that makes excuses irrelevant. A mental attitude so positive, so consistent, so anchored that nothing can break your spirit. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is power. This is the same mindset that fueled Carnegie, that moved Edison, that drove Ford. And it will drive you if you commit. So I'll say it again. The question is never will this work. The question is, will you take full ownership of your thoughts every single day? Will you choose your attitude before the world does it for you? Will you guard your energy, protect your focus, and live with clarity when most are distracted, reactive, and drifting? If the answer is yes, then not only will you build success, you'll build a life that demands to be remembered. A life of purpose, a life of power, a life that creates a ripple long after you're gone. That's what happens when you choose to live with a positive mental attitude. So let me leave you with this. You are not small. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are becoming. And that becoming begins in the mind. Every time you think a thought of power, you grow. Every time you speak with conviction, you rise. Every time you take action on purpose, you align. And little by little, day by day, thought by thought, you are building the unshakable. So from this moment forward, I challenge I dare you to make this your personal code. I am unshakable. I am unstoppable. I am unbreakable. My attitude is my weapon and I wield it with precision. Because this world doesn't need more people who blend in. It needs more people who stand out with strength, with vision, and with purpose. And that, my friend, is now you. So rise. Rise with power. Rise with fire. Rise with an attitude that cannot be shaken. Because your destiny is waiting, and it belongs to the one who decides to master the one thing no one can take away. Your mind. Now go out there and live it.